Atn Sunday. Welcome back. No fewer than 11 persons lost their lives while 16 others were injured, with one person rescued unhurt in an auto crash at Gaya Junction along the Kano-Maiduguri Road. The Kano State FRSC Sector Commander Ibrahim Salua Abdullahi disclosed this in a statement issued by the command spokesperson Abdullahi Labaran on Saturday in Kano. We received a call at about 3:45 p.m. on April 19, 2024. On receiving the information, we quickly dispatched our personnel and vehicle to the scene of the incident to rescue the victims at 3:55 p.m., Abdullahi said. Now the question is, what proactive measures can the FRC put in place to avoid these ugly accidents on the highway?
You know, the Federal Road Safety Corps, they are responsible for the issuance of driver's license. They ensure that you know how to drive, you understand the road signs before they issue it driver's license. But with due respect to that organization, they failed in that aspect. And so you're driving, you get to a crossroad, you get to a point, some points, you see crosses. You know that ordinarily people are crossing here, but you see vehicles. I doubt, I don't know how many percent of drivers will see that and take a break. They will just zoom off. Even when the traffic lights are there, they will zoom off. And so they issue licenses to people who do not even understand road signs. I was talking to my friend in the UK. He has been there since about 2011. We were talking that was last year when we had this conversation. He said that at 2023, last year, since he steps his 2 legs in the UK, he has never heard or read over the news that there is a road accident. Is it magic? We watch even in movies. You see, people get to places like that, they take a break. And so we issue licenses to people that do not even understand what it means to drive. So someone wakes up in the morning, take the list, ogogoro, as we call it in our local parlance, or sachet, enters the keke or the wheels of the vehicle, and he drives off. Because they do not understand the implication of some of these things. What is the nature of our roads? It's not just the federal road safety alone. What is the nature of our roads? Just last week, I met one of my friends who he's always outside of this country, but he just came back. And he told me that since he went there, he has not seen traffic. It doesn't happen because there are good road networks. And there is no pothole on the roads. Before it gets to that stage, the government have fixed it. And so there is a marriage between those who drive these vehicles and the bad nature of our roads. The Federal Road Safety are always interested in CYY, your tire has expired, you don't have, your brake light is not showing and things like that. But the core things, the basic things which they should do to ensure that a driver who has been issued with a license to drive in the Federal Republic of Nigeria is competent enough to drive. Those core issues, they divert them. Visit their office and see what goes on. People pay for their licenses. They are supposed to go to attend a driving school. People don't attend those driving schools. After the driving school, you are supposed to write an exam to show that you've actually passed these driving schools. People don't write their exams. They pay those at the driving school to write the exams for them. And then they come back to the Federal Road Safety. They are giving their driver's license. So it's a terrible situation. They know all of these things. They know. They are part of it. So it's not something, they are part of it. I have my driver's license. I drive. So I know the process I went through. They gave me these options. I said no. I'll have to go through the normal process. It was during that period that I knew that you're not even supposed to park at at junctions, bus stop. I never knew until when I went to the driving school.
Now, how can citizens be encouraged to take on the right process? How can they Because the shorter way seems to always be...
Yes, because they make the shorter way available to citizens. The shortcuts, they make it available. Citizens don't know. They make it available and tell people, see, you can do this. I was given that option, but I refused. I said no, because whatever process I go through, I like learning that process. I like knowing that process, so I can talk to someone about that process on authority. So there are a lot of things that if you go through the driving school before the Federal Road Safety issues you with your certificate, there are a lot of things you know about road signs. There are a lot of things you know about driving. How many roads have speed limits in Nigeria? People just enter their vehicle and zoom off. No speed limits. You don't know. In the UK, in Australia, in the US, in advanced, or in Europe, nobody talks to you. But the money in your account will talk to you. As soon as you exceed the speed limit, because every road has speed limits. As soon as you exceed the speed limit, rather, your account will talk to you. If you don't have money in that account, it won't talk to you. As soon as money enters that account, your account will talk to you. Now, and they will explain, this is the reason why this money has left your account.
Yes. Now, speaking about speed limits, if you've been to Kano State, you understand that most of the roads, most of the major roads, are pretty in good shape. The problem, or the major thing I have seen to be the cause of these accidents are the speed limit problem, the speeding, overspeeding in the States. There's almost a culture of overspeeding. So how can citizens there, how can indigents there be educated well enough on the dangers of overspeeding, especially by the FRSA? How can they come in to make sure that there's a culture, a knowledge, a decision for them to checkmate their speed by applying these roads, especially the highways?
Well, the good thing is that myself, I attended the Nigerian Law School campus at Kano State. So I was at Kano State for a year or thereabouts, yes, during my law school period. So I can relate when you talk about speed limits and the nature of the road and the nature of drivers you have. So the thing is, these drivers, how many of them, in fact, throughout my stay in Kano State, I never saw. That's why when I come to the southern part of Nigeria, I ask myself, are we in the same country? Just hit this NTA road now. Before you hit from Choba down to Rumokuta, you find at least 2 or 3 checkpoints. But throughout my stay in Kano State, I never saw checkpoints. I never saw the presence of the police, or because of course the police have the traffic department, the federal. I never saw them. The only time I saw police on the road was on a particular bad spot, and they were there to tell drivers, slow down, this place is bad. And so when you come back to the south, you begin to wonder, are we in the same country? So you have a Kano State where there are no security presence, whether the traffic department of the Nigerian police or the Federal Road Safety Corps, they are not present at all. So who will educate these people? Whereas Federal Road Safety Corps have an office in Kano. The Nigerian police have their offices littered in Kano. What are they doing? Even those of them here in the southern part of Nigeria, are they interested in doing their job? Are they? They're interested in your tire, this is TYY, your tire, this one, you don't have this one, bring the money. That's what they're interested in. They don't look at you, this guy, the way your eyes are looking, or this lady, the way your eyes are looking, you're not supposed to be driving this morning. Because sometimes someone may be very tired and you're bothered with a lot of things. Driving requires concentration. The first time I almost had an accident while I was driving was simply because I saw an object fly and I took away my face from the wheels. Before I came back, I was almost colliding with another vehicle because I have left my lane. Driving requires adequate attention. So if you're stressed, if you're bothered, if you're on alcohol, if you're on drugs, you're not supposed to drive. They don't check all of this. Check the northern states. Kano is one of the highest states where people consume all of this alcohol and drugs. We have the NDLA. What are they doing? So it's a complex issue. It's not just about the nature of the road and the drive. There are agencies of government who are supposed to ensure that these things work out for us, but they're not doing it. The NDLA are supposed to check you. Are you high on drugs? The Federal Road Safety Corps are supposed to ensure that you are fully certified before you even drive. They are also supposed to ensure that there is compliance with road signs. The police are also there to prosecute these offenses because they are traffic offenses. So all of these agencies that we've just mentioned, what are they doing? And every day Nigerians keep losing their life. In fact, as I'm talking to you right now, I believe that an accident have happened somewhere. What will happen? We're investigating. We dispatch our officers. What do they even, I ask myself, what do they do with the reports they get after investigation? Because after investigation, it's expected that you produce a report. What do they do with it? Do they actually investigate? Because if you investigate a particular, you're sick, you go to the hospital, the doctor examines you and recommends certain medical examination for you, you visit the lab, and a test is conducted. You go back again, the same test. You go back again. I don't understand. You know, it's only a mad person that does a thing in a particular way and expect a different result. These things are happening on daily, and we keep hearing the same story. We're investigating. We're investigating. What do they do with the outcome of it? Do they really investigate? And if they do, what do they do with the outcome or the reports that emanate from such investigations? We are talking about Kano State because of the number of lives involved. 2 weeks ago, I was at the University of Port Harcourt teaching hospital, visit a friend. Right there, a vehicle came in. You need to see a bike man, he has been hit. People drive where they're not supposed to drive. In fact, Ghana. Let's not go far. Just Ghana. If you get to Lagos, enter the next available luxurious bus, in 7 hours or so, you're already in Ghana. Ghana is not far from Nigeria. People obey road signs. You don't see people overtaking anyhow. Tricycle riders, bike riders, they don't go to roads where they're not supposed to run. But go to the east-west road. You will see a litany of multitude of bike men on the road. That is a highway. Go to this NTA road. You will see bike men plying the road. Are they supposed to move on this road? But we have police. What do they do? The Federal Road Safety, what do they do? And so these things go on every now and then. Just visit any hospital in Rivers State or any other state for that matter, and see, go to the accident and emergency unit and see the nature of the kind of persons who are brought there. Ask them. It's either bike or the tricycle, keke napep as you popularly call them, because they are always on the road where they're not supposed to go through. These things, many of them do not know. They may be acting ignorantly. It is the responsibility of the Federal Road Safety, the Traffic Department of the Nigerian Police, to enlighten Nigerians, to teach them and tell them, don't go here. And then if you are caught, there should be punishments. If you are caught on the East-West Road, for example, riding a bike as a commercial motorcyclist, and you're imprisoned, or you're made to pay a fine of, say, 300,000, next time you wouldn't want to try it. Well, because when they are saying they give 200 naira or 300, it's something that they know they can get away with it. That is how bad the system is. In fact, sometimes I think and I say, what aspects, which section, what sector of the Nigeria is working? Till date, I've not been able to answer that answer in the positive, I've not gotten a positive response from that answer. Maybe religion. Because that's the only thing, because it profits the political class a lot. That's the only thing they do. Hey, don't worry, our treasure is in heaven. When we get to heaven. Whereas they are here amassing and building treasures for themselves. Mm-hmm. What sector is functioning in Nigeria? I ask myself, what sector? Maybe corruption. Is there a sector really? It's not. So it's really sad. We talked about these 16 persons as if we are talking about inanimate objects. You know, there is a say around here that when they carried someone else's corpse, you feel it's a log of wood. Mm. It's really a sad one. It's a sad one.
Okay, let's put a bit of humor to this to this situation. You know, there are very good bone hospitals in Kano State. Do you perhaps think that's the reason for the relaxed mindset, the poor culture of road use within amongst the indigents of Kano State, perhaps having such great bone hospitals in the state.
Are you in any way suggesting that the hospitals are the ones ensuring that there is road accidents, so they make more money?
No, my insinuation is the confidence in the healthcare in knowing that their bones will be easily repaired.
I don't know who will feel confident going through pains. Nobody wants to go through pain. If you ask the pregnant, failed in their responsibilities.
All right, we should adopt a culture of proper road usage in Kano State, in Nigeria, for development and for our safety. Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State has said that his frequent distribution of food palliatives to the people is necessitated by the circumstances of the state, rather than to create dependency among the people on the government. The governor also said his administration's frequent distribution of food palliatives was necessitated by the need to strike a balance between addressing the immediate needs of the people affected by the Boko Haram insurgency and laying the groundwork for a lasting change. Zulum disclosed this during a chat with newsmen while supervising the distribution of food palliative to the people at Gajiram in Gazia local government area on Saturday. We are not creating dependency among the people. People should take note that what we are doing is necessary. We only give food items in places extremely affected by insurgency, and gradually we are transiting out, Zulum said. Now, the question is, do you think that the constant distribution of palliative to the citizens due to the insurgency in Borno State has made the people solely dependent on the government? Barrister?
Well, for the governor of the state to make this kind of statement, it shows that he must have had certain things, to have come out this open to say this. See, this thing we are distributing is not to make you depend on us. He must have, maybe people are complaining that, governments, they've not brought our palliative, and things like that. That may have gotten to him to have necessitated this kind of statement from him. And so, I totally agree with him. The distribution of palliative, of course, the Boko Haram insurgency is an unfortunate one. The average person from Borno State didn't ask for it. They didn't wish for it. And unfortunately, that incident have, robbed many of them of their source of livelihood. And so what the government is doing is commendable. From time to time, they try to, provide palliative for them so they could manage themselves because of the situation they found themselves. But it's not a ground for them to now solely depend on the government. Of course, even in Freetown, there are no free food. Yeah, so there are no free meal anywhere. So what the government is doing is just to ameliorate their sufferings. And then it is their responsibility, I'm talking about the governor of the states now, to work with the relevant security agencies to ensure that those impacted communities are safer for people to go back. So they could resume their normal farming activities and other sorts of livelihoods that they used to sustain themselves. So I agree with the governor. They shouldn't depend on this palliative, but the government will have to provide the adequate environment for citizens to fend for themselves. Before the Boko Haram insurgencies, we don't hear of palliative distributed to communities in Borno State. So it was the failure of the government that led to this. And it's unfortunate. It's over 10 years since this Boko Haram. It's about 11 or 12 years since this Boko Haram insurgency started. Until date, we still hear of Boko Haram attacks on communities. In fact, it has now gone to herdsmen and other. That's how crime happens. Once people notice that people are committing offenses and they are going scot-free, or they are not being punished, they are not coming hard on them, there is this tendency for people to go into crime and feel is the easy way. So what the government should do is not to be providing palliatives every now and then. It is for the government to ensure that the citizens themselves can fend for themselves. How do you do it? Ensure that Borno State is safe. If Borno State is safe, People will go to their farms, people will rear their cattle, people will do their normal businesses and take care of themselves. But provided Borno State is not safe, people will keep depending on the government for their survival. And that is not the primary essence of government. Government does not exist to feed people, to give people food. No, government do not do that. Even the government is not the highest employer of workers. But once you create the necessary environment, the environment is safe for people to come and invest their money. You remember, a lot of the multinationals, they had their headquarters here in River State. Why did they run away from River State? Because nobody wants to stay in a place that is not safe. Look at what is happening in Hamas, Gaza. You can see how destructive the war between Hamas and Israel has taken a turn on the people. People can no longer feed themselves. That is what happens once there are insecurity, violence, war, crime, and things like that. So it is for the government to ensure, I keep saying this, that Borno State is safe. So that people, in fact, not just Borno State, Yobe and the other northeast states, even north central states is now being affected. The states like Benue State, they are the food basket of the nation. A couple of times when I visit, I know the things I bought at Benue State. I know how much I would have bought them here in a state like Rivers, or any state in the southeast or south. So people's source of livelihood, they've been deprived of it. And it's a very sad situation. So the government should ensure that Borno State is safer, so that people do not keep depending on government for their survival. Because the government cannot do anything. You can't build roads, you can't build schools, you can't build hospitals, you can't even equip them. The necessary infrastructures that will create the necessary environment for development to thrive will not be there. The government cannot be able to put it in place if they keep feeding people. So the government have that responsibility to ensure that Borno State is safe for its citizens.
All right, now what are your thoughts on a more sustainable foundation for long-term development rather than relying on the short-term solutions like palliative distribution for Borno indigents?
When you talk about long-term
plans, like what can the Borno government put in to help themselves, to help its citizens at this moment, apart from handing palliative
over to them? Yeah.
Yes, with the insurgency going on, still with the insecurity problems, what can they still do to make sure that citizens are more engaged and they can sustain themselves?
Yeah, if
rather
you go
than just solely relying on palliatives, because it seems to be the case at the moment.
Yes, every government in Nigeria, whether federal, states, or, okay, let me just stop at states, federal and state governments, they have different ministries. They have the Ministry of Lands, they have the Ministry of Works, special duties. They have agencies under these ministries. Ministry of Agriculture, they have different agencies under these ministries that are created to assist the people. If it's the Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, they have, like the federal government have the ND, National Director of Employment, they have other agencies under them. Now, what they do is they teach people, they tell people how to plant their crops, how to cultivate them, how to take care of them. So that is what the government should be looking at. Activate those agencies that are responsible for these educative issues on people's survival. Activate them. Besides that, when you're done, government also do give grants and soft loans for that short-term loan, long-term loan, medium-term loan. Government do give loans. In fact, many businesses thrive on loans anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. Check the big businesses. They don't start it with their money. They borrow money, take loans, establish this business. So it is for the government to activate those agencies, and after educating them, you give them grants or loans, as the case may be, so people can begin to take care of themselves. Because the government cannot. It will cripple the states. Government cannot keep feeding everybody in Borno State.
All right, we'll go on a short break, and when we are back, Atn Sunday continues. The conversation is on.
That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
On the point of
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Atn Sunday. The Coalition of Northern Groups, CNG, has condemned the outright refusal of some businesses to crush the prices of their goods despite the naira gaining against the dollar. The CNG views this as an exploitation of the Nigerian people and a blatant disregard for the economic realities of the country by unpatriotic business entities. The group welcomed Dangote's diesel price adjustment and called for the sale of crude oil in naira to domestic refineries. Now, you heard about the price cuts by Dangote, which was really applauded. What do you think of the views of the CNG in this case?
Yes, I tell people that the most wicked people you see in Nigeria is not actually the political class. It is everyday Nigerian, that bus conductor, that woman that sells vegetable in the markets. I don't know, Nigerians are very mean people sometimes, I don't know. You go to the market, you want to buy pepper. Madam, how much is this pepper? They call a price for you. By the time you scream, you say, no, say, dollar don't go up. And then you've been wondering, what is the relationship between dollar and pepper? It's funny, right? That is Nigerians for you. But now the dollar has been coming down, consistently coming down. They've not brought the price of their goods downward. If dollar had gone up to maybe 2000, 2005, they will keep raising it. And they will keep giving you the same story. You don't know, say dollar don't go up. But now that dollar is coming down to almost 1,000 naira, what are they doing? Nothing. So it is time for the relevant agencies. I think the Federal Competition and
FCPC.
Yes, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council, that's the FCCPC.
FCCPC, yes.
They are responsible for things like this. It is time they activate themselves and ensure that the prices of goods come down. Although, to an average businessman, when the prices go up, they want to sell higher so they could be able to go to the market to buy. Now, when they buy higher and the prices are down, they wouldn't want to sell at a lower price because they will be losing money at that point. And so, it is time for the agency, this agency, FCCPC, to, especially those big business places, those big, I think I read over the news sometime that they were able to shut down one of the offices at Abuja for overpricing. One of these big business places at Abuja for overpricing. So it is time for them to activate and move in that speed, with that speed of light. Their agency is scattered everywhere in the 36 states, including the FCT. It is for them to move to ensure that the prices of goods see, the inflation is crazy. The high level of the cost of living is, and it's affecting everything. A basin of Gary in a local community somewhere at Rumuji is going for 15,000 naira. That is the food of an average Nigerian. When I mean the lowest of the low in Nigeria, that's their food, Gary. And you're not buying a basin of Gary for about 15,000, 16,000 from the direct source. You're not talking about those who sell in Port Harcourt. In Port Harcourt, it's about 17,000 naira. And then a cup of Gary is going for 250, 300 naira. So for the poor man in Nigeria, how do you survive? All of these things have ripple effects. Once the price of a product goes up, especially when it comes to transportation, it affects others. Because whether you sell maize, you sell pepper, you sell anything at all, after buying them, you transport them to your business place. By the time you pay a higher cost in transporting them, you add everything now, because the aim of every businessman is to make profits. It's to make profits. And so, Nigeria is an oil-rich state, but yet, I bought fuel yesterday. It's not even a uniform price. Some are selling for 700 naira per liter. Some are selling for 690 per liter. Some are selling for 695 per liter. In an oil-producing state. In an oil-producing state like Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the biggest producers of oil. Ghana, you don't go to a filling station and see queue. Ghana, they don't have any business with oil. but you don't see queue like we see in our filling stations. You don't see 2 vehicles in a particular filling station in Ghana. You know, these are our leaders, they travel. They travel and they see all of these things. It's not as if they don't, they travel. They visit countries. They see how other countries are being run. It's not as if they do not know, they know. But they don't like doing it. Because they want to keep Nigerians, they want to subject Nigerians to their control and direction. You know, you control someone you feed. If, for instance, I'm working for a politician, and in the morning I have to wash his car, then when he is leaving, he now drop 2,000, 3,000 from me. I will remain loyal to him. And that is the concept of loyalty here. They want to keep you perpetually loyal to them. But if I'm working, you can't expect me to come to your house as early as 6 a.m. to wash your car when I should be washing my own car because I'll be going to work. Even if I'm not washing my own car, I don't have one, I should be dressing up for work. So you see the high level of inflation is occasioned by the high level of transportation. Although the wickedness in ourselves, we Nigerians, we have also added dollar. That dollar is going up, and so prices should continue to go up. But now that dollar is coming down, what is happening? And so that brings us to the issue of Dangote. You know, many of us were expecting that when the Dangote refinery start working, the fuel may come down to as low as maybe 100 naira per liter or 85 naira or 65 naira, since everything is done here in Nigeria. So why, I see no reason why it should be celebrated for me.
But now it's just diesel that has been highly, that the price cuts affects, not the premium.
PMS,
yes.
That's it. Is it not the same production process? Because as you're producing, as you're refining, there are other products. You have the diesel, you have the kerosene, you have the PMS, you have different kind of oil. It's the same process. So why is the diesel coming down and the PMS is still there? What do we use more as Nigerians? How many Nigerians use diesel? I've never used any diesel engine before. Whether as generator or vehicle, I've not. How many Nigerians use it? So diesel is for major companies that run big plants. So it doesn't really affect the economy like that. What really affects us as Nigerians? So even when the price of kerosene went high, diesel went high, who was talking about it? Because it doesn't concern an average Nigerian. What concerns us is that I come out, I bought a vehicle, and that's how you know that things have gone high. From where I stay to where I work, used to be like 100 naira, 150. As of today, it's 400, 500. So you can imagine, this thing I'm telling you is in a space of less than 1 year. From 100 naira to 400 naira. And so you expect someone who has gone to a place, a local community to buy his products to Port Harcourt to now sell lesser. It's difficult. In fact, it's a dire situation. We're just on the balance. To us, we are being wicked by ourselves, to ourselves. The government is also there ensuring that we are wicked. Yes, the government is there. If prices of transportation come down, then the government can now fully beat their hand on their chest and say, no, we've done this, you should be able to do this. But when you go to close down a business now, and you're attaching it to the price of dollar, it's crazy. It's really a terrible situation. So the government, I'm thinking and I'm hoping that they will make our refineries work as they have promised us, and that will crash the prices of PMS, and the ripple effect, of course, will be that other things should come down. But you know Nigeria now, whatever goes up, it doesn't come down easily. I don't know of anything that has gone up. A bottle of water we used to buy for 15 naira before.
But the naira is gaining strength now. The dollar is going down.
When I go to a filling station, do I pay them with dollars? How many Nigerians have seen dollars before? We don't spend dollars. We don't. The dollars is for the big boys now, and maybe average Nigerians now beginning to, since the naira is crumbling, people have now devised a means of saving in dollars. That's the reason why the pressure is on dollars and naira is crumbling. Many of these politicians, they don't spend naira. Because if you carry $1 million, it's not big now. If you carry $10,000, it's a very small thing you're carrying like this. But that's a huge amount of money if you convert it to naira. So they are the ones putting pressure on. Go and ask the teacher in the classroom, the woman in the market, does she know how dollar looks like? If you even give her $1 to, maybe you want to buy something, you mistakenly give her $1. You say, don't give me fake money. They don't even understand how it looks like. So it is for the government to ensure that the necessary infrastructures are working. Things will automatically fall in place. If a bus driver buys fuel for 100 naira, and then he tells me that I'll pay 400 naira, I don't think a driver will want to do that. They may come down, but not to the usual price, but you definitely bring the cost of transportation down. And this will have effect on other goods. So this issue of inflation is really affecting all of us. It's really affecting all of us. Sometimes I don't drive to work. Because I look at it, each time I drive, the least 5,000 naira will have left my pockets for PMS, just to get to my office and get back home. But with 1,000 naira, I can do that. That's like I spend what I should spend in a week, 5 working days in a day, just to go to work and come back.
Now, do you think that PMS should be sold in naira to marketers?
Of course. That's one thing I even if this government was responsible for the spike in the dollar price, that's one thing I've come to at least give them kudos. With the level at which naira have now gained strength over the dollar. But is it sustainable? What are we producing? What are we selling? Even this crude, do we sell it in naira? In the international market, it's dollars. When we buy them back, do we buy in naira? So these are the things that will make the dollar to always be ahead of naira. Because there's no pressure on naira. The things we should be selling in naira, things like farm produce, we are not selling them. Insecurity have scattered Nigeria. This cost of Gary now that the basin is going for 15,000 in the local communities, I can tell you that it's because of the insecurity in those food producing states. Because those states, we are complementing what we are doing here. Here, development is almost taking us over. When I was small, all of these places are bushy. The whole of Uniport, Axis, NTA, all of those, they are bushy. People are going to farm. But with the level of influx of persons into these states and other states, people are buying lands, people are building houses. And as they are buying and building, you can no longer farm there. So it is shrinking by the day, whereas the population is increasing. But these states, like Benue states, like states in Borno, in fact, they call northern states that do this farming and bring to this side, they can no longer go to farm. So things are going higher by the day. So the whole thing boils down to the government. When Professor Andre Femini of blessed memory, when he was alive, he taught me. He told us while in class, he said, any day Nigeria rises up to take its proper position, Africa will become developed. That Nigeria is the cause of the development of Africa. And I agree with him. Are we showing leadership to ourselves, not to talk of other countries? Check the indices. Just check the indices. They are all against us. And we are not ashamed. Nigeria is the largest black nation in the world. We have natural resources. In fact, sometimes I ask myself if God actually caused Nigeria for blessing us. We have gold. We have iron ore. We have the other natural resources like petroleum products, which we are killing ourselves over, but we've ignored others. Other solid minerals are there lying fallow, doing nothing. If you travel along the east-west, you see virgin forests waiting for who we work on them. We are not doing anything about it. We are not going to farm, whether by way of technology or the traditional farming system we do. People are no longer going to farm. I can't go to farm anymore. You can't go to farm anymore. But maybe if you have a compound, you can have a small garden for yourself. But those who are the local communities who can go to farm, they can't even go to farm anymore. So things will continue to go on the high side. The inflation will continue unless the government takes deliberate steps to ensure that these factors that are responsible for inflation and the high cost of living in Nigeria are brought down to the barest minimum. A country like Australia noticed that they're having a housing crisis as a result of influx of international students. What did they do? Immediately, that's a government. That is what government does. If you ask anybody, that those people who want to travel abroad to school, if you ask them now, Australia will be one of their list destinations. They don't want to think about it because there is a policy in place. What is the policy? See, we're having housing crisis, so if people keep coming, we cannot be able to accommodate them. As you come here to study, go back. No more 2 years post-study visa. And an average Nigerian that is living here wants to work outside, at least earn in dollars. If you work for 2 years and you're earning in dollars for that 2 years, by the time you come back to Nigeria, you can be able to establish yourself. Since you can't walk into, you don't have what it takes to get a loan to establish a business in Nigeria. The process is a loan of getting a loan. Visit a banker friend and they will tell you. You need the CFO of your house. You need this, you need that, you need this. This process is so stringent. And so an average Nigerian that leaves this country wants to come back with something. But a thinking government like Australia, they've seen it. This is a crisis. It's a time bomb waiting to explode. We have to work on it. That is what government does. Look at UK. Why did they stop the students, if you're coming for taught courses, don't come with your dependents? It was telling on the economy. They brought a policy. Don't come with your dependent anymore. Come here, study and go, unless you're coming for a PhD program or a research program. Why research programs? Because they take research seriously in those countries. As you research, you come up with your report, you come up with your results. The government is there, they look at it, there is a white paper, they implement it. So as you're coming, you're not just coming to study, you are coming to impact in the economy. And so they will allow you to come with your family. That is a government. You identify a problem, you provide solution to it. You provide solution immediately. Don't wait until, in Nigeria, we wait until the thing is killing us. When the person is dying, hey, that's when you begin to see, it's like that. But it's not as if they don't see these things that we see. They see it. They see it. In fact, they have access to more information than many of us do. They have access to information. You'll be surprised. Something happens in one local community. Before you in that community will even know, the governor of the state is aware of it. The member representing your constituency is aware of it. Even the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you from that community may not be aware of it. That is because they have access to a lot of information. So they know all these things. Nigeria have what it takes to track anybody to any place and capture you if they are really interested. So many criminals have been captured like that. But how many times did they do it? If a high-profile Nigerian is involved, they've kidnapped a high-profile Nigerian, that is when you know that the agencies of government are really functional. That is when you know that they are really competent. Some years ago, a family friend was kidnapped. The husband, it was the wife that was kidnapped. The husband was taken to the military war house. From the military war house, the husband was seeing everything because the man is aged. And so he's hypertensive and things like that. So in a bid to ensure that he's okay, the military decided to take him to their war house. So he was seeing everything that was happening. From their war house, they were seeing everything that was happening in the bush, where the lady was kept, those that were there, all the movements. We have all of these things, but the question is, why don't they do it? We have all it takes to be great. Recently, Nigerians have broken a lot of Guinness World Record. If Nigerians can excel like this, under this situation, can you imagine how Nigerians will excel if given the adequate platform? Have you noticed that when Nigerians leave Nigeria to civilized societies in the Europe, UK, Canada, US, you see how they overperform? And the people will be wondering, wow, what is really happening here? We are smart people. We have the natural resources. We have the human resources. But unfortunately, we do not have the government. And that is why things will continue to happen like they happen in those states. Because people are forcing themselves, they are forcing themselves on the people. That is why we continue to have this kind of crisis. Same ballot boys here, steal it, thuggery, and things like that. Because they are not coming there for you. It's about themselves. Sometimes we do joke about you as a thug, go and meet your leader and tell him that you want to marry the daughter. And see his response. That tells you how he rates you. Recently, it was all over the social media that some group of Rivers people went to the FCT to visit the FCT minister. He didn't even give them access. It was a member representing one of the constituencies here that who rates you will not keep you out of. In fact, he will welcome you, entertain you, how are you, how is everything, and be free with you. Unfortunately, we Nigerians will fail to realize, and we'll keep talking, so people will begin to realize some of these things.
All right. Now, quickly, let's go back to the market prices. Now, most marketers who have already purchased goods with the high dollar price, do you think it's still fair that they sell now that the naira, they sell in a lower price now that the naira has gained strength?
That's what I said earlier. It's a difficult situation. I can't buy higher and expect me to sell lesser. It's not possible. I'm in business to make profits. And that is where the government have to step in. How much did you buy? What is the difference? The government can make up for that. And that can force the price of the goods down. It will bring it down. But if I buy a product for 10 million naira, and now you expect me to sell for, after all the logistics and everything, maybe I must have spent 12 million naira, and you're expecting me to now sell at the rate, and then I will be having, after sales, I will now have about 7 million. Am I in business to make profit also? So that is where the government have to step in.
But at this point, they're no longer buying at a higher rate.
I agree with you. These are stock in the, that's the argument. And it's a valid one. Because as the dollar crashed, people had stocks in their business places. They had stocks. They've already paid transportation and all the logistics involved. So those things that were there at the storehouse or the warehouses, how did the dollar price affect it? Nothing. So that is where the government have to come in. We want to bring these prices down. What did you buy? At what rate? Then the government can subsidize to make the products come down. So that is why we have governments. Sometimes governments even go buy off a particular product and then give it out as grants or as palliative like they usually do. So it is for the government to reach out to these business people and see how they can subsidize their products. Okay. Subsidy shouldn't be for PMS, after all it has been removed. It shouldn't be for those other things. Even goods like food can be subsidized.
All right. So you've heard it from Barrister Kinikanwo. Like he said, we have all it takes to be great. We'll go on a short break, and when we're back, the conversation on Atn Sunday continues.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human trafficker.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back to Atn Sunday. The conversation is Nigerian chess master Tunde Onakoya and his partner Sean Martinez have hit the 60-hour mark to bring their Guinness World Record attempt for the longest chess marathon to a close. The attempt, which took place at the Times Square in New York, began on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 by 3 p.m. Nigerian time and came to a close by 4:30 a.m. on Saturday, April 20, 2024. Sunday and Sean, who went over and beyond in their attempt to break and set a new record. 58 hours was the target, but at the attempt headed towards crunch time, Sunday announced the extension in a bid to make it difficult for the newly set record to be broken for Nigerians and for young people in Nigeria. Now, how can the government encourage these marathons that support development?
It's a good news, and congratulations to Tunde and his partner. Congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations to the youth. This is the kind of news that gladdens the hearts. See the Sports Council attend the inter-house sports of schools. They select the best. They organize competition for them. So it is for the government to go down from primary school, secondary school. These talents are there raw, waiting for the government to just give them the opportunity to thrive. They are untapped. If you read through Tunde's story, you may be surprised to know that he did it all by himself. The government may not have had a hand in it. So that's the resilience and perseverance spirits that we have as Nigerians. And so we are not asking much. Go to primary schools, go to secondary schools, introduce these sports. Now, these sports will not just make that individual. It will also create an avenue for that individual to also make others. Because there is this chain reaction with wealth, as it is with poverty, as it is with exposure. Once you're close to someone who knows how to play chess, you have passion for it, you get to know that your conversations will always tailor towards that line. Chess. Before you know, you build a passion for it. Before you know, that person is building another person. So there will be sustainability. That's one person that you've built this passion on, that you've made to love this game. You've taken him out of the unemployment space. That is -1 for crime. That is -1 for anything evil, because the person will be focused. 60 hours is 2 days and half a day. It's not a no mean feat for anyone to achieve. To have played chess for that number of hours, wow, congratulations to him. So it is now left, and you see the passion. The target was 58 hours. But because he has passion to impact the society, especially the less privileged, in Lagos State and other African countries, he decided to extend it by 2 hours. That's the ripple effect we are talking about. Whatever resources he must have made from this will impact and touch lives. And this impact may turn around that family forever. So it is something that the government should encourage. Although chess is not too popular here, but we can see that in a country like Nigeria, where chess is not too... I don't know how many Nigerians play chess. Apart from knowing the rules, I don't know how to play chess much. So I don't know how many Nigerians play. In a country like Nigeria, someone has now surpassed the longest record of 56 hours and has taken it to 60. So it is for the government to now encourage Nigerians in this wise. Not just this sports of chess, but other sports. The recently concluded games, we saw how Nigerians, especially the female, we saw the kind of... when I watched this lady speeding, I was like, wow. Go and check them. You will not be surprised to learn that the government does not have a hand in the talents that they have developed themselves. It's all by themselves. But it's not like that in other advanced countries. Government support, you create the environment, you support them, you give them facilities, provide coaches for them. They learn and they grow. At the end of the day, the good name, the gold medals, comes to the country. when they are during the ranking at the just concluded All African Games, they didn't rank by the athletes. The ranking was by country. So they tell South Africa had this number of medals, Nigeria has this number of medals, Gabon this number of medals. It is bringing glory to Nigeria as a country. You're putting the country in the right. You're putting the country in the right direction to the global community. So, but when you begin to hear news of this person died, that person died, there's insurgency here, you're bringing the image of the country lower. So these things that make our image better, the government have to encourage it.
Now speaking of imaging and having the government putting proper contribution to these marathons that support development, we've seen the case of we've seen the support of the government. We've seen actual government approval in the case of Hilda Bassi, who actually began the rave here in Nigeria, the marathon rave with the Guinness World Records, with her having doing that honors of actually breaking the record. We saw Governor Sanwo-Olu come in to show his support. We also saw the former vice president who gave accolades and encouragement to Tunde Onakaya before he began his marathon. So how can agencies put in actual support to these sort of marathons? What policies do you think should be created to give proper support to encourage these sort of marathons that not just puts Nigerians, young Nigerians or even Nigerians in the good light, but also encourage development for her citizens, because education is a huge part of the society for development. So what kind of policies should government agencies put in place to have successful marathons that encourage development?
You know, every government have these agencies already established, whether at the state or federal level. These agencies are already there. I think it was 2 weeks ago or so, a Lagosian also broke the record. She drove from US to, was it US or the UK?
From London to
From
Lagos.
London, yeah, that's UK to Lagos. That was about 2 weeks ago or so, you know. So what should the government do to encourage people like this? If you go to universities, there are departments for all of this. We are talking about education now.
Yes.
You have, for example, in a school like the University of Port Harcourt here, you have Human and Kinetics. It's a department in the Faculty of Education. So what do they teach in this faculty? Different kind of sports. Whether jumping, javelin, different kind of sports. That's what they do. Now, if you go to other universities too, you have some of these departments. What do government do from the raw talents that do come up from these departments? Many of them end up doing something other than their passion. In fact, in Nigeria here, I've got to understand that many persons are just doing what they do to earn a living, not because they're passionate about it. And so if you go to the university games, Nuga game for example, you see raw talents. Government is able to, okay, we have Olympics coming up in 2027. This is 2024. Let us begin to coach these people. Let us begin to teach them so that they can improve on their talents. Was it not a Ghanaian who went to the UK to study that won the high jump? He won gold. And it was massive because he won that gold in his country. The same environments where he schooled. I am not sure that he would have achieved that feat if he remained in Ghana. But because he went to another environment with better facilities and access to other things that he wouldn't have had if he remained in Ghana, he was able to win the gold. So, what government usually do here is a fire brigade approach. Olympics is next month. So 2 months, 3 months, they start making all the noise. You do this, do that. That's not what you do to achieve this kind of feats. Tunde wouldn't have achieved this feat if it took him 2-3 months.
So what policies exactly would you suggest?
The policies are there already. Implement them. There should be incentives. Because as you're training, you're not training just for yourself. You're also trying to bring glory to the country.
Remember, away from sports too, other kinds of
yes, other kinds of marathon. People don't encourage these kind of things a lot. And so that's why you go to university, you make first class. What do they give to you? Take your statistics. Those days, it used to be automatic employment. I'm not sure that's still in existence now. What do they give to first class citizens? But look at some of the reality shows. See the millions people make for being in a confined environment within a period of time. That is not done when it comes to things like education and sports. People are not well encouraged. If I know that if I make first class in a school, or I'm a good runner, that the federal government or the state government was going to bring me into the system, give me facilities to begin to grow, give me some remuneration, send me to trainings here and there, oh my God, I'll be serious with what I do. But if at the end of the day you suffer injury, you're left alone. Even the professional footballers who play for Nigeria, we've had stories where they get injured and the country cannot take care of them. Some of them go back to their club sites. We've had stories where professionals representing a country are owed their allowances. So it is something that the government should begin to look at. Encourage people by remuneration.